Hello, everyone. My name is Anniston, Blair Riekstins, and I want to thank you for joining in for the Holistic Summit. Today, we're going to be talking about a unique form of numerology that I practice that allows you to uncover your life blueprint. This would be the plan that you would have put into place prior to coming into this lifetime. For those of you that have ever asked the question, what is my life's purpose? What did I come here to do that's going to fill me with so much joy and happiness and peace and fulfillment? That I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning, or maybe you've asked, why do I continue to repeat the same negative patterns? It's like they just chase me around from one experience to another, or one relationship to another, or maybe even, what gifts did I come here to share? I keep hearing that everyone has a special gift to share with the world. I just don't know what mine is, and I need help in finding that clarity so I can find some direction. I think every single one of us at one point in our life has asked that question, if you are in fact a human being, which I think you all are. And it's completely normal to ask that question. And, when you start asking the questions, it means you're ready for the answers. And so there's no accident that you're listening to this today. And my hope and my intention is that by introducing you to this form of numerology, and becoming aware that you have this tool at your fingertips, that when you feel it's the time, or when you start asking those questions, you'll know that you have a place to go. You'll know that God and the universe has provided answers for you that can help guide you on your journey and on your path to live a really abundant life. And that's why I titled this session the way I did, because I do believe that by having awareness of the lessons you came here to learn, the gifts you came here to share, as well as your purpose and what you came here to do in this life and achieve in this life, that having that awareness and having that information can assist you in creating the abundance in every aspect of your life and truly creating the most amazing life for yourself, a life of your dreams. So before we dive in to all the information, and before I explain to you, about this numerology system and how you can use it in your life, I wanted to give you a little background about me for those of you that I haven't worked with before or had a chance to meet. I have been a spiritual seeker since I was very young, always asking really big, important questions. I was raised in a Christian household, but again, I always wanted to ask questions and go deeper. So in my early 20s, I was introduced to numerology, and immediately I was hooked. Now, for those of you that have never heard of numerology or done any research on numerology, numerology is basically comes from the belief that numbers are energy, and that numbers are the universal language. In fact, the universe's language. It's the way that we can read the energy of ourselves and other people, of experiences. And, for those of you that work with numbers or see repeating numbers around you all the time, there's always a message in that. But also the numbers that, surround us, our birth date, the time we were born, the number of our house address, all of these numbers become part of our energy field and actually become very attractive, attracting certain experiences to ourselves, with which we would have intended for ourselves. So that's the basis of numerology. I'll explain to you in a few minutes the unique form of numerology that I practice that isn't as widely known. And right now, I would say Pythagorean numerology is more popular in the West. This is what most people understand, and that's the numerology based on your birth date. The numerology that I'm going to talk to you about today is actually based on your birth name. So back to my story, I was introduced to numerology, loved it. It was very transformational for me, and having that tangible tool was something that I could go back to again and again and again in terms of understanding myself and other people that were in my life, and also getting an idea of what was coming and what I should be doing. So as I continued to progress and I continued to grow and I started a numerology practice, I kept on asking questions and thinking, I wish I could go a little bit deeper. I'm ready to go deeper. I want to go more on a soul level and really understand from a soul perspective more about what I came here to achieve and do, and more about myself. And of course, the minute I asked the question, the answer appeared. And I was driving past a Barnes & Noble, and I got a very strong nudge to turn into the parking lot, which I did. And I walked into my favorite section, which is, of course, the spiritual metaphysical section. And literally a book popped off the shelves, and it was titled Your Soul Contract Decoded by Nicholas Saban-Nagin. And this was a book that was based on this form of numerology I'd never heard of before. And that started me on this journey. I have since become master certified. So I'm certified in all 3 levels. And now I assist, hundreds of people discover their life blueprints or their soul contracts for this lifetime. But I also assist people in creating names or optimizing their own name so that they have an even better enhanced energy about them to help them create the life that they want. I also work with businesses in creating business names. I work with authors in creating book titles. And so I've really gotten into the name science, if you will, and it's something that I love to do. I've been in marketing and advertising for the last 15 years and working with big name corporations and clients to help brand themselves. And it wasn't until I really understood the energy behind names that I understood why some brands would take off and immediately be successful and some wouldn't. And so all of that experience that I've had in the corporate business world has only helped me be better at doing what I'm doing today, which is more of the energetic marketing. And it's something that I love to do. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But for today, we're going to be focusing on life blueprints. It's where everything starts, whether I'm working with a client for their business or I'm working with them for a baby name. We always start with your energy because that is the foundation of everything, and everything just extends from there. And so once you understand your energy, you have a better idea of what kind of name you need to create. So before we dive in, I am going to use an example. And so for those of you that are just tuning in and listening, maybe driving, don't worry, I'll explain what I'm talking about. But the analogy I like to use about this work and what it can do for you is, if you were going to rehab a home, I know I'm a big HGTV fan, I watch it all the time, and you bought a home and you were about to do a big overhaul and a rehab. First things first, what you have to do is you have to get, you've got to get an inspector in there and you've got to see what is going on. You've got to look at the foundation. You've got to make sure there aren't any major issues before you start, recreating, redesigning, rebuilding, and reinventing this home to be what you want it to be. So this is essentially what we're doing. This is essentially what I do is it's an assessment. It's as if you were going to a doctor and getting a physical just to say, okay, where are the challenges, what's working, what's not working, and so that then you have a better idea of where to focus your energy. For those of you that have been on your spiritual journey for a while and you have been introduced to a lot of different modalities, you would probably agree with me and that there really is no one-stop shop. This is not something that you go see someone and automatically you get it and you remember fully who you are and you come into full self, realization and you are enlightened. Doesn't happen that way. This is a journey and it's step by step by step. And so this is a really good jumping off point because it's almost like you get a full understanding of the situation. Okay, this is where I'm stuck, or this is where I've moved past gracefully and with ease. And, this is what I need to focus on going into. I've never had the courage to do it, but I've always wanted to do this. So from there, you can go on to look for additional healing modalities that can help you with that specific issue, and which is why Holistic Campus is such an amazing resource for you guys, because there are tried and true and vetted holistic practitioners who are in their life's work, their work, this is what they came here to do, and they are extremely talented in helping people move through issues and, energetic blocks and things like that. So this is more about prescribing, and then, as you listen to the other segments throughout the summit, you'll probably have certain things that you're more drawn to than others. So let's go ahead and get started and dive in. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this numerology system that I work with. The numerology system, it's been referred to in many different ways. Some people call it numerology of Moses. It's basically, or soul contract numerology. This numerology system is closest to the Hebrew numerology system, or some systems that are used in the East, in India and in different parts of Asia. And it is solely based on your birth name. So before incarnating in this lifetime, you would have had a hand in selecting, what your experiences and co-creating what your experiences wanted to be. I want you to imagine Earth as this large university where there are thousands of different courses you can choose from to come and learn and grow. And, as much as we think in soul form that we can tackle just about everything, you do have to limit it to certain subjects, if you will. And each lifetime, you might tackle different subjects. Well, as you were planning your life, you would have selected, okay, in this life, I want to work on this and this. I want to develop this gift, and this is really what I want to work towards. This is my sole purpose in terms of my life's purpose. And then I can find work that will allow me to do that and to be able to develop that more and offer that to the world. And so that whole plan is embedded in your birth name energetically. So when you are born, your birth name is the first thing that's given to you that's really you. You're coming into a world of separation or perceived separation, and it's what makes you an individual, right? And so even though we're all one and we're all sparks of God, we all do have different things that we're working on and different, plans for our life. But that plan, we have to be able to take it with us somehow, right, here into this 3D dimension. And so, or this 3D reality. And so it's embedded into your birth name, which then acts as somewhat of like a homing device. I want you to imagine your birth name is interwoven through your complete energetic matrix that's surrounding you. And it is acting like a beacon that is calling to you certain experiences that's going to allow you to work on what you wanted to work on, and people that need to come into your life, and the lessons that you need to learn. And that's what this numerology system is based on, is being able to, dust off the cobwebs and look at what that plan was that you would have helped co-create, so that you can get unstuck if you're stuck somewhere, because you'll be able to see it for what it is and stop blaming yourself and actually have a little bit more compassion for yourself, knowing that you yourself are this amazing being. You're not flawed. You're, just as if you're going to a university, if you're having a hard time in biology, you are not biology. That's just a course you're taking, okay? And if you aren't doing well and you flunk out, well, you'll take it again next year. So the same way in life, if you're having an issue and you're not being able to work through it, you'll just continue to get experiences and opportunities to work through it until you do. But once you do work through it, you can move through. You can move forward, and you don't. It's no longer something that you have to endure. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you an example of what a life blueprint would look like. And rather than use myself or clients, I decided I would use someone that most of us know and are aware of, and someone who has passed, but that their life was well known because they were so well known. And the person I'm talking about is Princess Diana, or Diana, Princess of Wales. Someone most of us know and love, and we held a special place in our heart for. So I've pulled her chart as an example that we can look at and just talk through, so you get an idea or a visual of what I'm talking about when I go through a life blueprint reading. Now, I will preface, obviously we don't have time for me to do a full reading and a full explanation, because there is a lot to go over with the system and with all of the numbers that are incorporated in your chart. But this will just give you a taste test of what this looks like. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see. All right, here we go. So here is Diana Frances Spencer, which is her birth name. Now, these charts are pulled based on your birth name. I get a lot of people that ask me, okay, but I'm married now, or I never used my birth name. Well, I want you to think of your energetic foundation as your birth name, as like the cake. That's what the metaphor we soul contract practitioners like to use. It's the cake. Any other name that you use becomes almost like a layer of icing, or a second layer of skin, that while it does change the overall energetic, piece of the pie, and the taste and the experience, the foundation is the foundation. And that's what's going to, the blueprint that's going to be attracting most of your experiences in. So that's why we're focusing on her birth name and not her married name or any other names that she might have taken. So as you'll see here, if you're looking at the image, and for those of you that aren't and you're just listening, there are two triangles superimposed upon the other. For those of you that are familiar with the Star of David, that's what it looks like. This symbol is not based off of that of the Jewish religion. It just so happens to be that the two triangles superimposed on top of each other represent the two aspects of ourselves. The triangle facing up represents the spiritual aspect. The triangle facing down represents the physical aspect. Because as we come into human form and as we incarnate, of course, we are spiritual beings having a human physical experience. So as a soul, we want to grow and learn and experience on both levels. So as you can see here, there are two triangles. The one facing up is her spiritual, the one facing down is her physical. Now within at each of these points, you'll see numbers or number combinations. There are 22 numbers in the system, or 22 number combinations, ranging from number 1 to number 22. Some numbers are, you'll see not on this chart, on hers, but on some you'll see double numbers, so like a 1-1 or a 2-2. And but on her chart, they're all actually different numbers, so a 14-5 or a 10-1, as you can see. That these are varying number combinations, which just means that as a soul, she would have wanted to bring in a lot of different energies, which can make for someone who can feel a little bit scattered or a little ungrounded and not really sure what direction to go in versus having a more focused experience. But each number has a negative aspect and a positive aspect. Inherently, nothing is negative. It's just a different experience, but it's something that might be more challenging, if you will. So in a reading, I will typically start with the physical aspects and then move into the spiritual aspects. So let's first start with the karma, or what I like to call lessons, because I think karma can be a loaded word for a lot of people. It can feel a little bit scary. But lessons are really, again, it's the curriculum. It's the courses you would have chosen to come here to take, okay? So for Diana in particular, she came in with a physical karma 14-5. A 14-5 is about reflection, and it's about speaking your truth. And so for her, she would have learned, she came here to learn through others, okay? So she would have had the lesson of having to probably have some pretty intense relationships, which I think we all know she did. And she would have been, aspects of herself would have been reflected through those other people and through those relationships, and that's how she would grow and learn. But with that can be difficulty, because when it's a challenge, it's usually something that doesn't come easy for you. So she probably would have been somewhat introverted, and in her head quite a bit. 5s tend to not be very grounded. And they can be just all over the place in terms of way too mental and not being able to really feel like they can relate to other people. And so that would have been a challenge that she would have come here to face and have to work through. Her karma, or spiritual karma, is a 10-1, which is about power and integrity. So she probably would have felt disempowered if this was a karma. She would have had experiences that would have led her to feel a bit disempowered, disconnected, separated from other people. 10-1s oftentimes, as a young, from a young age, will experience or will choose parents that will divorce, and so they can experience a separation early in life, and then it kind of triggers the program of the theme of learning about separation, with the goal of realizing that there is no separation, that you are connected to the source of all that is, God, whatever you want to call it, and that you have this power inside of you that you need to step into. So her goal would have been to step into her power, to come into power with integrity. So she probably would have had to endure some, being around people that had a lot of power, but not with integrity. So she would have seen the contrast. And growing up the way that she did, and being around politics quite a lot, and being in an environment that might have been a little bit stifled, she might have felt like a fish out of water. And so but again, all by design. That's what she wanted to experience in this lifetime. So when I talk to people about their karmic or their lessons, it's important for me to identify, where are they? Are they still stuck in this pattern of repeating it over and over and over again? Or is this something they've actually worked through? The beauty of looking at these aspects and the transformational power of looking at these aspects is, well, a couple of things. Number one, it's to realize that you are not flawed and that you need to give yourself a break and that there is not one person on the planet who didn't come in with lessons to learn. There is no one that is perfect. There is no one that came here with necessarily an easier ride than another. It just all looks very different. And so when you look at life that way and you change your perspective of the way that you look at yourself, instead of looking at these, what we would maybe call weaknesses or things that you have a hard time working through, you can realize that, you know what, this is just something that I chose for myself. So rather than running away from it, and I need to turn and face it and look for it in my life, how has it played out? And then when you start to see it pop up again, you'll know what it is. And just by knowing what it is and why it's coming to you, it's like you're taking your power back because you realize you have the power to work through this. You just need to, use the tools at your resources and you need to stay focused. When I realized what my karma was, which is, it's an 8-8 and it's about being, grounded, being connected to people and really emotionally connecting and not just running emotions through mentally, but actually feeling them. I really realized that in my life, I hadn't been emotionally connecting with people, that I had been keeping people at arm's length and I hadn't wanted to really commit to relationships and really commit to life. I just wanted to be able to kind of travel around and not have a permanent residence and not have a permanent relationship. And so once that I became aware of it, I realized that that's something that I needed to do. And so I intentionally started connecting with people, intentionally started emotionally connecting with people. And the joy I got out of that was immeasurable, and the growth I got out of it. And I've worked through the majority of that issue. Now it pops up every now and again, but when it does, I see it for what it is. I know, okay, that's just another opportunity for me to work on this. And so no longer does it have power over me. And, but I wasn't aware of it until I had my reading, until I knew what my life blueprint was. So again, and with her spiritual karma, same thing. So, it's just about awareness, to stop running, start accepting, so that you can move past this and this doesn't act as a roadblock to creating a life abundance for yourself. So as we move past the karma, we go into your gifts, your talents, what you brought. Now, I will preface this by saying that people experience their gifts to the degree that they've worked through their lessons. So as you work through your lessons, it's like your gifts start to bubble to the surface. They're very effervescent. And then you can really start to utilize them to the best of your abilities and let them work for you. I will do some readings where it's very clear very quickly that the client is still stuck in their physical karma or in their spiritual karma. And then when we go to their talents, they're like, wow, I guess I've it's been a part of me, but I never realized that it was such a big part of me, or this is a talent that I had. But then once they work through those issues, they'll come back to me and say, oh my gosh, this was absolutely right. This is a talent of mine. It's something I'm really good at. I just never realized it, or maybe I just never energetically was aware of it. So when we talk about activating your gifts, for Diana, for instance, her physical talents is a 20-2, which is about being an explorer. It's about being like water and being able to be flexible and not stuck into a rigid set of beliefs. Well, Diana, that's one of the reasons why, she, I think, was so loved, is because she was an explorer. She loved to look at different cultures and what was going on around the world. She wasn't only interested in what was going on in her own country. And she was able to, through her experiences, bring other people's interests outside of their country and into the world, and to bring awareness to what was happening. But it's also someone who kind of bucks the system a little bit, who isn't, like with the, maybe the tradition that she was born into. That's the reason why she really was able to, she was different. She wasn't normal royalty. She wasn't what, the country was used to, or the world was used to when we had seen, princesses in the past. And that's because of this talent right here, because she was someone who was the explorer, who was going to be the pioneer, who was going to do things differently and think of things differently. But the two is also a very emotional, as someone who is emotionally resilient and as someone who can keep going even when she gets knocked down. And I think, obviously with her divorce and everything that she went through publicly, she would have had to be emotionally resilient. Otherwise, she would have locked herself in a closet a long time ago and never came out to do what she really came here to do. Her spiritual talent, which is something that you would experience more on an emotional level from someone, is a 12-3, and that's the number of expansion and love, and someone who loves to learn and grow, but also someone who is able to give this amazing amount of love and make people feel loved. I've read that, some people believe that she came here, she came to open the heart chakra for British citizens. But I would argue for the entire world, our heart broke when she died, but it also opened because of her. And so I think, she touched people on a heart level, on a very deep level. And was one of her gifts that she came here to share with people. And it's not something someone could replicate just by doing what she did or saying what she said. It was really, truly a part of her energetic makeup. So, one of my gifts, for instance, is being a builder, someone who is an entrepreneur. And when I first had my reading, I saw that and said, oh, no. I could never be a business owner. I could never be an entrepreneur. I don't think that way. But because I knew I had the talent, I thought, you know what, maybe it's something worthwhile for me to develop. So I started taking some online courses. I started giving myself opportunities to practice and to feel more confident. And now it's something that I love. I've started my own business. I've helped other people build their businesses. And it's something that it is a talent of mine. And it's something that I love to share. But because I didn't have the self-confidence, I don't know that I ever would have moved forward with it. Or if I did, it would have been a lot later in my life. So I'm very thankful that I became aware of that when I was younger, so I could start developing that talent and use it to my benefit, which I absolutely am. So then if we move into physical goals. Now the goals are really, truly, I think, where, when we ask the question, what is my life purpose? That's where this lives. Now I do want to give you a brief, explanation of the difference between life's purpose and life's work, because I hear the two terms interchanged a lot, and I think there can be some confusion there. So your life's purpose is something you came here to achieve, but it's not necessarily always tangible. It might be something like you came here to share love. You came here to express yourself in society. So here, let me give you an example. With Diana, her physical goal was a 17-8, and this is about being a mouthpiece, literally like a mouthpiece for God or for the Creator in terms of expressing vocally. That's usually what we see with the 17-8. And 8 is about grounding and relating to society, so being very relatable. So expressing in a way, you can express, but not be relatable to people. They just won't get it. It won't really touch them emotionally or physically. But someone who has an 8, who's very grounded, will. So she clearly wanted to use her voice for something, which she did. And she wound up, helping enormously bring awareness to some issues, some global issues, and making a lot of headway there. So that was her life's purpose. Her life's work is like the vehicle with which she did that. Your life's work can change throughout your life, and that's what, a lot of people will say, I just can't wait to get into my life's work, my life's purpose, so I can actually do what I came here to do, but I'm stuck here in this day job, and I don't know what to do. And my answer is, start now. Start now. So with Diana, if she was sitting in front of me and she was having a soul contract reading and she said, I want to be in my life's work, I want to do what I came here to do, and she has a 17-8, I would say, okay, well, you need to find opportunities within your everyday, starting today, for you to express and to relate to people and to connect with people. Where can you go speak? Join a Toastmasters, offer to lead a training group for your business. Start a mommy and me group, where you're able to connect with other moms. There's so many ways that you can do this and start practicing. You don't have to wait for something to happen for you to start experiencing and, being in your life's purpose. And that's really liberating to know, because a lot of times we're always waiting for something to come. But what typically happens is once you become aware of it and once you start doing it, then your outside, your reality starts to shift and change. And many people do wind up getting opportunities to be in their life's work every day more fully and in a service-related capacity. So if we move on to her spiritual goals, which is a 10-1, again, she's got 2 10-1s in her chart. This is about integrity, power, and being of service. She wanted to be of service for people. 1 is the number of Archangel Michael. It's the number of protection, of integrity. You know, I always imagine Archangel Michael standing there with his rod and his staff or his sword and protecting people, but he is, you know, he is nothing but integrity. That's who he is. And that is the energy of Archangel Michael, and that's what she was bringing to the world. And it's a very transformative energy. They're also great healers, very impactful healers and leaders in this world. And I would argue that she was both. I've heard, you know, just being in her energy, she had this amazing energy, a really calming energy to be around. You know, she was able to give so much love, and especially with her relationship with children, which again, this comes with the 12-3. 12-3s are amazing mothers, and they're drawn to children. So that would have been her life's purpose, and her life's work came through, you know, through working with charity organizations, you know, becoming an advocate for giving a voice to people who didn't have a voice, where she was able to work with her 17-8 and her 10-1 and really bring them to life. So then if you move into Soul Destiny, her number is an 11-2, and this is that number of being a builder. And in a Soul Destiny position with this number, this is someone who would have, been a support for other people and would have built a structure for other people to perceive and to live. Some people in 11-2, they truly become a business owner. They actually grow something that's very physical, like starting a physical company, brick and mortar, or it's someone who is more of a spiritual philosophy, a way of being, a way of living, a way of thinking and feeling. And so that's what her destiny was here to do. And, again, I think she's a great example of someone who really, who persevered, who worked through a lot of her initial issues of not feeling, of understanding through hard relationships and having to go through a divorce and having to be in the public eye, yet probably wanting to hide most of the time. And yet she moved through it and found it was, I think, her life's purpose that really was her avenue, because she all of a sudden felt this level of service, which allowed her to come out of her skin and, come out of her shell and shed and share love with the world. Absolutely beautiful. So, I'm a follower of A Course in Miracles, and A Course in Miracles says, basically in a nutshell, that a miracle is actually just a change in perception. It's a change in the way that you look at yourself, or you look at the world, or you look at relationships, or you look at other people. And it's about looking through the lens of love instead of looking through the lens of fear and guilt and a lack of self-worth and a lack of self-confidence. And, this work, I believe, and being able to uncover your life's blueprint is a tool that you can use to help you do that, to change the way that you look at yourself, to change the way that you look at the world. One of the services I offer, in addition to a life blueprint, is what I call a relationship overlay. So what I will do is I'll take my clients' numbers, and then I will look at them compared to, significant relationships in their life. So it could be their spouse, their children, their parents, ex-partners, friends, colleagues. And then it's very easy to see, okay, which people, I can just see looking at the numbers, okay, wow, I see where this conflict is coming from, because you guys have clashing, lessons. You're both learning the same lesson. So you're almost, you're pushing each other's buttons and you're not even realizing that you're doing it. Or I could say, wow, I see why you're so connected to this person. You guys share the same spiritual talent. No wonder you have this lifelong connection. But what I love about it, and what I see always happen, this spark go off for people, is that they start to look at their spouse or their children or all their relationships in their life, instead of looking at it through, oh, that person drives me crazy, or, oh, that person is so flawed, or I wish I could change that about that person. Instead, just saying, you know what? They're just like me. They're someone that's working through their issues. And, I need to look at them with compassion and understand that just like maybe I'm struggling here, they're struggling there. And And, when I see that pattern pop up with them, know where it's coming from. This is just another opportunity for them to work through it. And you can't take away people's lessons, but what you can do is give them love and give them compassion and fully to understand maybe where conflict is coming from. Just empowers it, and sometimes makes it go away completely, because you're no longer giving energy to it. You're no longer worrying about it. You see, okay, well, I understand why my daughter and I clash here, but that is something that I'm working on, and the more I work on my issue, the easier it will get for us to get together. So it is a really beneficial practice, and something I recommend everyone, all of my clients, go through, because it really can and give you abundant relationships, meaning peaceful relationships and understanding. And you're no longer looking to them as people that are doing something wrong and doing something to you, or that instead you just look at them as just like me. They're working through their issues. They're going on their journey, and I need to be a support for them, and I need to be loving and compassionate. The other, obviously, process that I take this on is that for some people or clients who say, you know what, I'm so tired of working through this. I need some help. I want to work with my energy to enhance my life. That's when we'll look at a name optimization. And typically I always say that, this is not for everyone. This is for people who have never felt connected to their birth name, or have always, disliked their birth name, or once they understand their energy a little bit more, they will say, you know what? This is really tough. I chose a really tough journey, and I would like to bring in some more positive energies that can help me on my journey, help me create this abundant life of my dreams. And, in other cultures and in many religions, it was believed that if someone came upon bad luck, or they were really, really sick, as a last alternative, a religious figure would come and give them a new name, because they knew that by giving a new name, you're changing the energy of that person, and that, your health changes. Sometimes your appearance changes. It can, even though you might be looking the same physically, energetically, we perceive someone's appearance, yes, through our eyes, but first we experience it energetically. So people can start to look and feel different to you. The level of experiences that you bring, are different. Your gifts and talents, you can bring new gifts and talents, to you, that you need to, help you work through your issues and achieve your goals. So it is an option, and it's a tool, and I can tell you it's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself, if it's something that you ever feel encouraged to do, because it's you taking ownership. It's you becoming empowered to create the life that you want as the co-creator that you are. And so it's something that I really enjoy doing with people. So this is, this was a very brief overview of what I do with clients, and helping them fully understand what it is, they came here to experience their life through their life blueprint. And I hope that it has been interesting and impactful for you. And even if maybe right now is not the time, that when you do feel that urge, or when you feel like you need that extra level of understanding, and you want to be able to look at something tangible, that this is an outlet for you. This is a tool for you. And I hope that you will, reach out to a practitioner, whether it be myself or anyone else. And that said, I do also want to preface that, you're going to see a lot of different practitioners on this summit, and many of you have been and experienced a lot of different modalities. And, when you're on this energetic journey that we are, and experiencing and learning more about yourself, there are a lot of options, and there's no one size fits all for everybody. Just as if you were going on an exercise plan or a diet plan, not one diet works for every body type. Not one exercise is better for everybody. It's really about listening to your intuition and following the nudges. And as you get that nudge to reach out for a life blueprint reading, or you get that nudge to go see that your astrologer, or you get that nudge to go in and have an energetic healing or a Reiki session, listen to it, follow it, because it's that next step. Your enlightenment comes in steps. It's not one giant leap. It happens in just one step after another step after another step. And you're building on this foundation. But I can tell you, with every step that you take, your life gets better. Your awareness grows. You become more empowered. You feel more alive. And you see the possibilities of what your world can be as the creator of your life. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me today. I did want to mention that I am offering a special offer for all Summit attendees. If you go onto the Holistic Campus website and book a life blueprint reading with me, I am offering a 20% off reading until July 1st. So if it's something you're interested in, please feel free to do that. I also offer a complimentary 15-minute just exploratory session. If you have any questions about the process, is when I can answer them for you. But otherwise, I wish you guys a very blessed day, and I want to thank you again for joining me.